other thing too, I was thinking about this series was like
Mm-hmm.
how like when it comes to like the concubines' children, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I guess this episode, if I mean we're really far into it, but like so it hasn't watched it, like come back and watch, come like watch Apothecary Diaries, come back and watch this. I think that like having the like the Lilua, I think is her name,
Mm-hmm.
like the blue concubine, her losing
Mm-hmm.
her child, like that was heart wrenching.
Oh yeah.
I was so like saddened by that, you know? And like I don't know, I had a lot of empathy for her. Even though I'm
Mm-hmm.
someone who never wants to have children, that was I kind of I don't know why like I felt that one, and I felt that a lot. And I again, it's one of those things where it's like I definitely can see how this was written by a woman because of like
Yeah.
just the pain that she was feeling, right? The fact that like Mao Mao helped her and like
Mm-hmm.
helped heal her when she was still continuing to be sick,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Why didn't you let me die?" And she's like, "Well, you
Yeah. You
kept
still had
eating."
a will to live,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you
This is
know,
why I kind of not that it bothers me when people get offended with the
mhm,
term shoujo coded, but this series, not like we mentioned, written by a female, illustrated by a female. Moments like these will connect more with the female audience just
yeah,
because we can, I mean, some women will relate to that, but others can just show empathy.
yeah,
Like it's something that we can, I mean, even if it hasn't happened to you, you might know someone who has lost a child at some point in their life.
yeah.
So it just doesn't read seinen for the male audience
Yeah.
at all.
Well, and the other thing too is that like, it's not saying like men can't write about
Mm-hmm.
these series, but I feel like men and women will have specific like instances where they can write, and it we have different experiences in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so like certain topics are going to be written more than likely better by certain genders depending on like the what it is, what we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's like, men might write men better who are experiencing like who are living in a world and that is like against them, and like, with being like you're not masculine enough and all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff, right? Where toxic masculinity hurts them, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
would never know how it would feel to be a man experiences those things. Whereas, like, as a woman, I have experienced toxic masculinity, but it's been more of like an outwardly thing where somebody else has
Mm-hmm.
hurt me because of toxic masculinity. I can't speak. Oh my God. Toxic masculine. I'm like, my mouth's going numb now. I don't know why. But anyways, like, whereas like, with child, like losing children, losing like giving birth and losing children,
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of women, a lot of people with even just like uteruses and who have periods could like probably empathize somehow, because
Yeah.
I think deep in within everyone who has a uterus, I think we can all kind of imagine how that would feel, you know?
Yeah.
Because even though like we have those physical body parts and we felt those hormones before,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we can imagine it better, even though it might not happen to us, like personally,
Yeah. And I
Um,
know like one of the characteristics between like when you're trying to differentiate shoujo and josei is that josei does touch on a lot of these more serious like moments.
yeah,
Um but like we mentioned, Square Enix doesn't have a josei magazine.
no,
Maybe if they did, this would have been a shoe-in for their josei magazine, but
yeah,
they don't have it.
when they don't,
So
no,
it's a seinen just by what they have available in terms of magazine publications in Japan.
yeah.
But still, it
Well, the other
it's
thing
going to
too.
connect towards like it's going to connect towards a older audience,
Mhm.
predominantly female.
Well, the thing is it's funny because like Mao Mao
Hmm.
talks about, like her being flat chested and she does have boobs and all that stuff. Like she's like, man, she's like, maybe I could have been a concubine one day, but I'm flat chested. I got freckles and whatnot. And the thing is like, you might be like, oh, well then, yeah, like male audience. But I'm like, here's the thing though. Josei does that though. I'm pretty sure they've done that in Princess Jellyfish. Right?
Wotakoi did as well.
Oh, Wotakoi, you're right. Wotakoi did do that. Literally, there's a page in the manga where they where they do like female fan service versus male female fan service versus male fan service, and it's like female fan service is like the gay with like Hirotaka and Kawakura, and they're like, you know, we do see it in the anime where they're like taking pictures and they're like, oh yeah. But then the male fan service, this was so funny, was just like Narumi talking about her small boobs, and then she, Hana was talking about her big boobs, and then they were like, she was like, oh, let me feel them, and it was so fucking funny because even though, yes, I would say that is definitely male fan service, it was still it's still in a Josei manga because it's kind of like making fun of the fact. I mean, it's making fun of both facts, right? But like, again, like it was so funny, but at the same time too, like even in the first episode of Wotakoi, like as they're walking, like she meets Hana and she's like, ooh, look at those boobs, like look at it, oh my gosh, she's stacked, oh my god, like, you know.
Here's the thing, like whenever they, or like just people in general, point out like one of the main like differences between like manga or anime for men and women, they bring up like the female anatomy.
They do, yeah.
But like, okay, let's not like pretend that women are not into women.
I literally,
and some girls just like bigger boobs. Like,
look, I literally, okay, first of all, the bi women and gay women exist, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
They are allowed to have their fan service as well. But the other thing, as I saw this TikTok, I liked it the other day, and it was like this girl going like men, you don't have to worry about other men stealing your women. You have to worry about girls. And she goes like, have you seen cosplayers? Have you seen female cosplayers who cosplay as men? And then brought up Karina.
Yeah. I still love her.
Me too. But it was like, it's so true. I'm like, it's so true. Well, even when Lilua, when she was sick and they were taking care of her, like there was a whole shot where she was like no clothing on. Like, I mean, we didn't see anything, like her arm was like in the way of like where we would see her like nipple, but like it was no way sexual though.
No.
Right? It was like, it was kind of, I'm not gonna lie, kind of beautiful. Like, it's just like,
yeah.
Right?
It's a very vulnerable moment. Like,
yeah,
her being so sick that she actually, well, I mean, back in that time, maybe, yeah, she would be getting bathed and stuff by other people, but like she was physically frail at that point.
Yeah. So, no, it's just interesting to me, like, how there were so many people on Twitter who were just like so upset about this. And I'm like, I think it's a win, right? Because I think personally that it doesn't really matter if it's shoujo or josei to me versus like shonen and seinen. I prefer to read works written by women, and it doesn't matter the demographic.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I don't think calling someone or something shoujo coded is going to take away from anything, because I mean, at the end of the day, there's still shoujo series in this anime season.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just, I kind of feel like whenever this argument gets brought up upon, like, this happens, like I said, if there's a seinen that gets labeled as like the token shoujo, it's the same argument over and over. And a lot of these series are written by women. Like, we should be celebrating the fact that like the industry is paying more attention to series written by women.
Yes.
That have a stronger female like voice acting like crew. Like we should be celebrating all these things instead of just focusing on just the way the series are marketed in Japan.
Yeah. Well, because like I said, I think it's a win that this is a
Mhm.
female or not film illustrator, female author, right, who
Mhm.
wrote this series, and I think that's a win in my opinion, because it shouldn't matter what the demographic is, because at the end of the day, I think the reason we like shojo and josei is not because they are shojo and josei because of the demographic. It's because these series are written by women and we connect to them because they're
Yeah.
written by women, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's what a lot of the shojo community has kind of missed, is that it's not the fact that it's marketed, it's not about the marketing towards them. It should be about the authors and the mangakas who, we should be celebrating, because they are writing something that might be intended for a female demographic, right? But it
Mhm.
should not really matter what demographic it's placed into, because we know that sometimes they put in a different demographic so it could do better. I also liked when Mao Mao and her, the concubine lady, she had that conversation and talked about how, she's like, if I had listened to you,
Mhm.
my, child would still be here. And she,
Yeah.
asked, do you think I can have another child,
Another child. Yeah.
And she's like, well, why don't you try and find out, And I don't know, it just was it was kind of almost bittersweet,
Mhm.
because it's yeah, her baby passed away, but and she didn't think that, she would have a chance to have another one, because the emperor, she didn't think the emperor would want her anymore, right?
Yeah.
But then Mao Mao was like, well, he was the one who specifically sent me to look after you,
Mhm.
which shows some type of emotion for the emperor, right? He doesn't just
Yeah.
see them, I think, as
They're like
objects.
disposable. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then I don't know, it was a nice moment between the two of them, and it kind of really showed that she wasn't this cold-hearted bitch, that she was
Mhm.
actually a really refined, beautiful lady.
Yeah. I think the series just does so many things right.
Mhm.
And it captures like the female experience, whether it be like jealousy or in this latest episode, like losing a child, dealing with grief. It does it very well.